This week I met someone utterly fascinating, an expert in fine art and antiques. And what was really interesting about it was what their daily work consisted of. So yes, valuations, yes, assessing, art, furniture. But what I found really interesting and with crossover with what I do is reconciling actual value with perceived value, often shaped by more by emotion, family, and personal expectation than market fundamentals. They described a family scene. So imagine we've all encountered this in some shape or form. It's depending on the size, but the concept is the same. So take a listen. One family member posts that they bought a painting or an heirloom for next to nothing. I mean, they almost took it, they almost stole it. Proof of their savvy, their cunning, their ability to find a deal. Another justifies a high spend in the name of legacy or future appreciation. This one is bound to go through the roof in terms of value. The dealer's job is to honour the emotional narrative with anchoring every appraisal in cold reality. Now, the delicate dance here is not cruelty, it's clarity. So does this sound familiar? Luxury property operates the same tightrope. There's an intrinsic value of a home, and then there's the myth we build around it. So whether you're building, upgrading, selling, buying, your challenge is to balance sentiment with substance. Your challenge is to balance sentiment with substance. So what to watch out for? Some practical tips and mindset checks. Does it add value to you or does it add value to the market? So when you're investing in a chef's kitchen because you love to cook, commissioning a handcrafted wardrobe for the joy of daily beauty, think first. Yes, these are meaningful lifestyle decisions. Absolutely, you're entitled to build your life and craft it the way you want to, but they're not always market decisions. So what enhances your life may not boost the resale value. And here's a tip. Before any upgrade, ask, would 80 to 90% of buyers see this as a win? If yes, it's likely to add value. If not, consider it a personal passion, an expense that's worthy of what you want, but not guaranteed to pay off. Tip 2. There's a ceiling on overspec features. You can keep layering on smart tech, finer finishes, and designer fixtures, but at some point the market stops caring. Think of it like an espresso machine. Essential to you, you justify you're saving yourself X amount every day without someone getting your name wrong in Starbucks, and it's disposable to your future buyer. But invest in what expands utility, space, uniqueness, such extensions, structural upgrades, outdoor enhancements, not just premium aesthetics. So a coffee machine now saves you money, and this isn't a scrimp and save. This is just really simple example of don't drop $5,000 on an espresso machine with phenomenal beans and XYZ and assume in a decade's time someone's going to basically give you the exact amount back. The third tip is when it comes to comparables, and I'm shortening it to be comps. So I'm giving you a little insight into Americanisms that comps tend to be comparables. They've got to compare. Some sellers cherry pick best looking comparable sales, but same postcode doesn't mean same property. A glossy result on paper may hide critical differences in layout, size, craftsmanship, or even street aspect. Here's a tip. Stress test your comps. Is the square footage equivalent? Do finishes and materials match? What about street appeal, views, or garden orientation? If the answer is a no, that comp isn't a fair benchmark. As a little story on that, I had someone recently who was comparing and contrasting sizes of properties, wanting to move on. And they had 2 balconies in their property, and they decided to get the property valued and get an idea of what the cost would be and get the square footage XYZ. But the rub with this was that they bought this property new, and both balconies were taken into the square footage when they first bought the house. So what they were in fact doing was thinking they needed to upgrade to a XYZ square footage house, which was probably 10 to 15% bigger than their own house. But that's because they had inadvertently measured the house, assuming that the balconies were also included. So they were assuming that the space they thought they had wasn't big enough, whereas it was actually smaller than they'd originally intended. So the fourth tip, beware the well-meaning cores. Now, this is a huge one in what I do for a living. And the reason being that everyone has fantastic intentions for you. But when money, emotion, and legacy collide, everyone suddenly becomes an expert. Friends, relatives, your neighbor's second cousin, you'll hear you should get X dollar, X euro more, or don't sell below Y. It's often noise. Here's a tip. Rely on objective, aligned advisors, people who benefit only if you succeed long-term, not those trying to inflate expectations or justify past choices. But this goes two ways. When it comes to family and friends, unless someone is willing to give you the price they're telling you should get on the spot, snod politely, make them a coffee, and seek alternative counsel. Equally, if you meet an agent, and this is like in any profession, there will be someone who will tell you what you want to hear with the benefit of getting a sign outside the front door. Ask why. Get them to justify it. And be really, really clear in the questions you're asking so you can understand the motivations behind the value. Now, tip 5. Be ruthlessly clear on your intent. So before upgrading or listing, ask yourself, is this about lifestyle now or resale later? Am I beautifying for joy, i.e. me, or for the next buyer? And would I be content if this never paid me back? So clarity here prevents regrets. Your home is both sanctuary and asset. Honor both roles wisely. But we're in a scarcity-driven market, so we've got low inventory, low stock, high demand, increasingly selective buyers, surface-level logic. By grounding decisions in reality over narrative, you protect both your lifestyle and equity. Great property decisions blend pragmatism, what the market pays, personal resonance, what brings you joy, and exit awareness, what a future buyer sees. That doesn't mean you have to act like someone who's in mergers and acquisitions for a living. It's just getting yourself to ask and notice, is the juice worth the squeeze, and what does this mean in time to come? So your job as a homeowner or an investor is to navigate this dance with clarity and discipline. The real value lies in understanding when emotion enhances a decision, and more importantly, when it clouds it.